Hey everyone, and welcome back to the podcast. I have something a little bit different this week. I don't have any New York Times articles for you. As predicted, I didn't get a chance to read a whole lot over the last week, but I did become very inspired to share some thoughts that I've been having for a long time, but they've really clarified for me really in the last few days, and gotten them to a point where I feel like I can share them and they'll be useful for other people. So this is a New Year's message for me, for everyone, and I'm going to challenge everyone and give you a New Year's resolution to carry out in your own life. But I need to talk about the real problem in our society, which is that we have a happiness problem. um, a lot of people aren't happy right now. And this is the real problem that we're facing. And we need to acknowledge that as the problem, the real problem. So we can talk about these other issues. We can talk about immigration. We can talk about foreign policy and the stock market and taxes and stuff. But what really, what people really care about ultimately is whether or not they're happy. And we're having a big struggle with that right now. And a lot of this is related to the economy because our happiness depends on our connection to other people. We need connection to other people to be really happy. And that's what we're losing right now. That's what's trending in the wrong direction. And we need to do something about that because if these connections keep disappearing, then there's no good outcome from that. And I want good things to happen. um, I want to be happy and I want to live in a beautiful world. We live on a beautiful planet, but our lives right now, they're missing a lot of that beauty, and we can add that back in. So this is what I want to talk about is how do we start to change this situation? And the reason why naming happiness as the main problem in our society right now is important is that this is something that we can address on an individual level, and you don't have to wait until November to vote to make a positive change. This is something you can start changing every day. And this is something else I wanted to talk about is we think we live in a capitalistic society and we have to change that. But the reality is capitalism doesn't even really exist because our society is just, it's the result of individual decisions that the 300 million people in our country make every day. That's the result of that. And if every person started to make some small decisions a little bit differently, then that would change our society. So there's really nothing that's controlling us or stopping us. Some aspects of our lives are out of our control, and this is where the economy does come into all this. So if you're working 60 hours a week just so you're not homeless, like you don't have as much freedom as you would if you're working 30 hours or 40 hours a week, or you could be a stay-at-home mom. This that's something else I wanted to talk about. I mentioned that the connections to each other are like fraying basically. As human beings, we have these biological connections to each other, and one of the most important ones is the connection between a mother and a newborn baby, and that's even disappearing in our society because of the economy in a lot of ways. 20 or 30 years ago, one parent, I mean, usually the mother, could stay home and the other spouse would be able to provide a like a pretty healthy middle class lifestyle just on one income, and that's not the case anymore. So now both parents have to work and the babies are going into daycare, and that it's just a sign of how far we've fallen, that babies are I mean, I'm being real about a lot of this stuff because we have to acknowledge these problems, like I've been saying, before we can come up with solutions. And we really have to name these problems to just to see this is the world that we're living in. And it's not acceptable. But I mean, babies are basically being ripped from their moms. That's how far we've fallen. Moms, like, they're lucky if they get a few weeks with a newborn baby if they're working. And like we look at cows and people get upset when, like, I guess cows raised for meat and stuff, like they rip the calves from the mother, and we see that as cruel. But like that's what's happening to human beings right now in America, which is supposed to be the wealthiest country in the world. And it's not acceptable. And we need to start changing these things. So what I want to share is this New Year's resolution I'm giving to everyone. This is a challenge I want you to think about, and I'm giving you the whole year to do it. um, I hope it doesn't take that long, but it might. So what I want you to do is we need to start building these connections with other people in our lives. And I want you to think of some activity that you're doing right now. So if you go for a walk every day around your neighborhood, or you take a break at work, or you go to the gym or something like that, think of some simple activity that you can start to invite someone else to share that with you. So if you go for a 30-minute walk in your neighborhood every morning, I mean, maybe there's some neighbor who you used to talk to and you haven't seen them in a long time. Um, Give them a call or knock on their door and just see if they want to go for a walk with you, like one time a week or maybe once a month or something. Um, that could make such a huge difference in your life. And I'll share a personal anecdote related to that. I was living in an apartment by myself, and that's the other part I wanted to talk about. So why is everyone so unhappy? And I blame it on just loneliness and isolation, which it's kind of baked into our lifestyles a lot now with the amount of time that we're working and our reliance on technology, which when you're using technology, like, you're not interacting face to face with someone. So again, it's just the fraying. It's the amount of times you come face to face in contact with someone in a meaningful way every day is just diminishing over time. So I was living in an apartment by myself and working remotely, and if I didn't do anything, like, I could have gone the whole week without seeing another person, really. I mean, maybe I had to go to the grocery store or something, but that was kind of just the default lifestyle, and like that's really hard. It's um, so I started just going for a walk once a week just to get out of the apartment, and I was going to this park where after a couple times I was like, hey, I have this friend who lives like right across the street, and he might like to go with me. So I texted him and he did want to go, and we started just doing this hike. It was a hike, hiking up this little mountain. Well, it's more than a little mountain. It was I would say it's a moderately sized mountain, but we started doing this hike once a week, and that made such a huge difference for me. Like, just to maintain, again, these social connections and just feel like you have someone there for you who you can talk to, and then listening to him. And this really gets into the crux of the matter. And I do feel somewhat vulnerable and exposed talking about this, but we have to talk about it. So we have to talk about love. And this is really what we need. We need love. We need to love other people. And we need a sorry. We need other people to love us. And we need to talk about love, what love really is, because the word love has kind of been twisted, I think. And when you think of the word love, you think of some Disney movie where a prince and a princess meet and they live happily ever after. But that's not love, that's romance. Um, Love is it's seeing some aspect of yourself in another person. And that's that's what we have to tap into is we have to acknowledge this common thread that we all share together, and we need to recognize that. So if we don't start to do that, then nothing's ever going to get better. So so when I say love, I mean when I'm going for a walk with this guy, like there was no romance there, but there was love, and it was just this. We had something in common, and we had this walk that we both enjoyed, and that's huge. Just to know that someone out there cares about you and loves you, and you can show that to someone at least once in a while. It makes all the difference because even though that walk only lasted for an hour or two every week, like you have that thing, I could look forward to that. And then the conversations we had, I would think about. And it's such a simple thing, but that ended up really helping me because it actually, he is probably 20 years older than me. And that actually helped me out a lot because I was going through a couple of difficult situations and just being able to talk about that with him. And he had like all this other experience and perspective he was able to share with me and help me a lot. And that is amazing. That's like that's the amazing thing that can come out of connecting with other people. Um, so that's my anecdote and the impact that had in my life. And that's the kind of thing that I'm challenging you all to do and to start to do. And so again, it doesn't have to be a huge thing and it doesn't have to be like I'm not asking you to ask your crush out on a date or something. I'm telling you that sharing a small moment with someone is a way for us to increase it's for you to love someone else. And that's what we need to be happy. So if you have a 15-minute snack break at your job, maybe share that with somebody else and just chit chat or talk. And I'm sure that you can find some time in your life where you can share some time with somebody else, and that's going to be really important. So that's the message I have to give to everybody: is this is the real problem, and this happiness issue, and it's in our control. It's in your control. It's in my control. We can start making these small decisions differently on a daily basis, and that's going to change your life. And the things that can come out of these connections is things that you won't even know. It's going to blow you away what can come out of that. So this is really significant because this can change the world. This can build the world that we need. This is going to build the world that we deserve as human beings. We deserve to be happy, and it's time to claim that this is our birthright, is to live in a beautiful world with beautiful people and be beautiful people and be happy. And it's time to start claiming that. Um, it's there every day, but we need to start taking that back, just little piece by piece. And like I said, we don't live in a capitalistic society. We live in our we live in the world. we live in a world with 300, we live in a country with 300 million other people. And if 300 million people start making a small different decision every day, then that's going to really change things and improve things for you. And I did just want to compare and contrast. So this is like an agent of change, I would say. But think about that kind of change versus like voting. I mean, voting is kind of seen as our big opportunity to change things. And it's like, how much of a difference would this make in your life versus voting? How much different would your life be if you had more connections, if you had more social connections versus voting? I mean, maybe you only vote every 4 years. Maybe you don't vote at all. Maybe you do vote in all these local elections and stuff. But this can change your life in a way that that voting can't change. You know, Joe Biden's not going to come and give you a big hug every every morning. But these people in your life who are around you every day, if you start reaching out to them and again, just sharing a small moment. You know, I'm not telling you to hug your neighbor. Like, find some way that you're comfortable. You know, if you're a couple and you have a couple you haven't seen in a while, like invite them over for dinner once in a while, or call a friend from high school who you haven't talked to, um, or college. You know, you have all these numbers in your phone. Like, just call someone and talk to them. You don't know what could come out of that. It could be the happiest moments of your life result from that, maybe. So I did want to talk about, well, why is this hard? You know, why aren't people doing this? Like, what happens if you call that person or reach out to your neighbor and they're like, who knows how they would react to that? They might be like, "What's what's going on?" You know, they might be surprised or feel awkward, or you might feel awkward. The reasons why people don't like to reach out to other people is they could say no. You could get rejected. Um, Maybe you feel like you're bothering someone, or I don't know. Why is it hard? I guess that's an important question. I really feel like people naturally are very like open to other people and connecting with people, and we've kind of built up a lot of walls to prevent that from happening. And I don't know. Maybe there is nothing holding us back. But I would just say, you know, if you start to do this and people are saying no and stuff, like, just keep asking, because that's part of this. You know, like, you're gonna get a lot of no's in life when you start reaching out to people, and that's okay. It doesn't reflect poorly on you. Maybe it's just not the right situation, or you know, they're not ready. But it's gonna start to break down some barriers for you, and it's gonna um, you're gonna feel more comfortable over time. And the thing is, you know, somebody will say yes eventually, and those moments that you share with that person are gonna be really special, and probably maybe the highlight of your week. That's how it was for me. So, um, trying to think if there was anything else I wanted to say. Yeah, so this can really change things. Yeah, what I wanted to say was, I don't want to sit here. So I do go back and listen to the previous podcast episodes, and I kind of enjoy reading the news and stuff, but I don't want to I don't want to sit here complaining about the Federal Reserve the rest of my life. I want to enjoy life. And what I really like is if people do listen to this, and you take me up on this, and you go and do this, and you have some new things happening in your life, and you're having a good experiences with other people. I'd love to hear your story, and I'd love to read those stories on the podcast. I'd much rather read that than the New York Times. A million percent. I'd rather be reading that than the New York Times, and I'd rather be reading that on the podcast, because I shared my story, and I'd rather be sharing your story, and that can inspire other people. Maybe there's some aspect of my story that didn't really connect, but maybe your story would connect with other people, and that can inspire people to do this, and then it can really create a positive feedback loop. And this is the kind of snowball effect that we need. And the more people doing this, the easier it's going to get for everyone. But starting out and taking those first couple steps, that first leap of faith is going to be hard. I get it. So that's why I'm giving you the whole year to do this. And yeah, I really wanted to get this off my chest. It's an emotional topic for me, and it's an emotional topic for a lot of people. But it's time to start taking steps to address these problems. So I hope that'll kind of light a fire under everyone. I feel like I've kind of had a fire lit under me recently, and I want to see I want to see people getting out there and doing this, and I want to start to see a different world around me, and this is something that we can do. So anyway, that's my New Year's message to everyone. I hope you liked it. I don't know how. I have no idea what direction this podcast is going to take. I probably will keep reading the New York Times and going over articles and stuff. But I'd like to incorporate some of these ideas into the show going forward, and this really is my solution to everything. Is we need to start building these connections with each other, and that can transform the whole planet. So, um, all right, I'm gonna let you go, and yeah, think about this. Maybe it won't happen this week or next week, but just think about it, or don't think about it. It might come back to you at some time that you don't expect, and you'll start to see these opportunities. So, okay, well, Happy New Year. I hope everyone had a great New Year, and let's make this year different. Let's let's generate some positivity this year, and that would be really exciting to say. That's an understatement. So, okay, have a great week, and I will probably be talking to you again next week.